Hi there, I'm Nu-Trix, and today we're looking into the Drumlog from Korg. Now, this is a buyer's guide. This is going to be not so long, that's the goal. At the same time, if you want to go deeper into understanding the workflow, I'll make another video about using it to create music, kind of the user guide. The Drumlog, what is it? Well, it's a hybrid drum machine because you've got 4 analog drum that you can play. You've got 6 sample bass tracks you can also play. So we've got 10 different sounds you can play for the drum. Plus you have the last one here, which is either the internal synthesizer, which is the VPN, variable phrase modulation, which is kind of a FM sound to it, with a modulator and a carrier. So you can create your own sound. It's limited, but it's enough, more than enough, for a synthesizer that makes drum. It's a drum. Or it can be a noise, and the noise is quite interesting to play with. And you also have a user, and that's where the log of the Drumlog comes into play, because you know the monologue, the mini log, and these different log synthesizer that basically use a SDK that a developer can use to create his own synthesizer or effects for then being used in the synthesizer. Now, the Drumlog also can do that. It comes with the Nano Synth, which is actually 2 oscillator synthesizer. That sounds really cool. I prefer personally that one than the VPM, but it depends on what type of sound you're doing. So they don't answer the same call. There is also the option of going online, figure out who's making these log for the Drumlog, and you can load others into it. Some of them, they cost some money, and others are free. I'll go back to the hybrid. Why do they call it hybrid? Of course, it combines samples and real analog drums. The analog kick, the analog snare, and the analog toms are fully analog. But then over top of them, you can have a PCM that is basically the transient of the attack. For each of them, they selected specific one, and they sound real cool. Using these sounds, you're able to really quickly have a very wide palette of different sounds for the kick, the snare, and the toms, outside of just, limiting yourself to one kick and one snare, because that's the problem with a analog drum. At one point, the snare sounds always the same. But using that, you just open up the door to more different colors of the snare and different colors of the tom and different colors of the kick. Samples, close hi-hat, open hi-hat, rim shot, they're named, but they're all samples. They're all the same. You have the controls on top here, hi-hat. And that's a little bit of what I find difficult sometimes about this, is that the knobs They decided on what they would control, and it might not be the choice of everybody. I mean, we all have a different way of working, and the choices that they made for what the knobs are controlling, it's a very specific decision that they made, and you cannot reassign it to something else. The hi-hat, you've got the close hi-hat decay, open hi-hat decay, and here you've got the decay for the clap. Sample 1, attack, sample 2, 1 decay, sample 1 tuning. If you want to press the 2, you have to press shift, and then you have access to the 2. If you press double tap, it stays in shift mode, and then you can turn it. But then if you press any button at the bottom, you're actually activating a function, like erasing a part. So you have to get out of this. It depends on what part of the sound you find useful to play it live on. They had at one point to pick the one they would put on screen, but it's not always useful for everybody. Like tuning the snare, honestly, after it's tuned, I don't change it, because it's in my style of music. I don't change the tuning of the snare in the song, but in certain style of music, that's what it's for. So it's really a question of, does this fit your style of music? Fits your workflow? It's a question to be asked. But then it's not a big deal, because for each of the sounds, when you go into the different windows here, you do a little bit of menu diving, but it's fairly easy because you basically have 3 windows. Part, and click this one. If we go up and down, you basically have 1 window for the master out, 1 for the panning and sending to delay and reverb, and 1 for the cutoff, resonance, redux, and drive. Redux is a reduction, bit reduction, and drive, well, overdrive. This is for the sampling sounds. And then you've got you can load your sample. Now, you don't have too much menu diving to do, very little to play with. It makes it a quick menu diving if you need to. And every time you move in the window, the 4 knobs control the 4 values on screen. So it's really easy and quick to play with. So I didn't find that I got lost in the menu, because I didn't have to look a lot to figure out where everything was. The only problem, or the only difficulty I would say, is when you're playing with it very quickly, when you press on part, that's how you switch between the different parts, because you've got all your different parts here. But if you make the error of pressing a shift instead of part, then you have access to all the features under it, like erase a pattern. Now, when you erase a pattern, you press it once, and you see right away everything's gone. You can actually press it again. You can undo it once, like going back and say, oh, that was an error. So they know, they know that this is something people did, and they change it. So I would have preferred to have, let's say, a different button here, like a different shape. And I would actually, oh, that's not the right one. Just by touching it, it would be like bigger or wider or different. And then just by touching, go, okay, I'm on shift. I'm not on part. So it would be easier just not to make the error, but that's it. Connection wise, this thing is really cool. You've got audio in, you've got audio out stereo, you've got multiple outs, 4 different outs, and you can really assign any sound to any of the multiple outs. And you can send them, you can combine them. You can say, kick and snare on one, or just kick and just snare. Or you can really assign it the way you want for the 4. So there's the option of isolating sounds that you need to, if you want to process them separately. I want to test out something that I'll do in the other video. Is I want to use this as a trigger out to trigger something else outside. So kind of using one of the samples to send a trigger. So I'm kind of curious of seeing if I can make it happen with this. You've got a real-time control here for the volume for all of them. When you save it, it saves with the kit. Let's stay with the in and out. You've got sync in and out to sync to any analog device. We've got MIDI in and out. But what's cool, if you got USB, but you also have device USB. So you hook up your MIDI controller, and that you turn it back on, it will seize it, and then so that's my sample. So the chromatic control over your sample, you can actually play it and record that into your sequence. Sample, that's the big question, because the sample memory is very small. You've got 32 megs of memory. So first of all, you should go back and remember that this is a drum machine, not a groove box, not a looper. It's the drum machine. So the memory is aimed at triggering percussions, short burst of sounds. I suggest you stay in mono, so it takes less memory. And each of the sound, you also have a control over the spread, a stereo spread. So you can create kind of a fake stereo. And you also have, like I said, bit reduction, like I use on this one with the noise on this one. But the problem is you don't have any sustain. You only have attack and decay. So if you want to have a longer sound, it just disappears anyway. It doesn't play till the end. So that's kind of something I wish we had in here, a feature called play till the end, or having a sustain or hold or something in the envelope. That'd be so cool, because the sample you put in, you can really use it in different way than just a drum. But again, it goes against the notion that this is a drum machine. But if you think of this as a drum machine, then the limit is not a big deal, because it's a drum machine. You get two effects send, reverb and delay. They're part of every sound can be sent to that. And there's a master effect that is kind of an insert on the master out, but each of the tracks can be sent to the master effect or not. So you kind of have a parallel output of dry sound and effect sound for the master. The master have a couple of effects. There's a boost saturation, there's a filter, there's a compressor, and there's a 3-band EQ. The compressor will be interesting because it can do sidechain, so you can actually use your kick to sidechain everything else inside the Drumlog, or the audio in also can be used as a sidechain input to control the compressor of the Drumlog. Just by the way, the audio in, kind of limited. When it comes in, if you go shift audio in, you basically have the volume and the route. Is it going to the output directly? Is it going to the sidechain? So is it going to be triggering the sidechain compressor? Is it going to the master effect? Is it going to the reverb? Is it going to the delay? Or nothing? So you don't listen to it. So it just closed. So when it goes to the reverb and delay, it's just like an insert. It goes right into it. It's just full on, and you don't hear the original sound anymore. So it's not like everything else in there where you have an amount to send. It's not bad, but I'm kind of surprised that they did not give the same control as all the other sample playback kind of. The sequencer is super efficient. Every step can be parameter lock if you want, or motion controlled for up to 8 parameters, different parameters for each step, your choice. So it's really powerful. A lot of stuff can move. And like we talked about earlier about the samples, for example, you can change the sample itself. You can load a different sample per track, or per step into one. Let's say sample 1 can change for each step for another sample. And you can even change the start and the end for each of the sample. So what I did, I loaded a voice inside it. I recorded a track from a movie, Modern Drug for Pain. So I got Modern Drug for Pain being, I'm basically just changing the start point of the sample per step to be able to trigger the words at the right moment. So that's kind of, it's a way around it, but it's possible to trigger different section if you play with the start time. And this is all motion control. Could do it in real time if you want, or you can do per step. And basically when you do per step, you basically just press on motion. If you're in the right track, let's say in the user, and then you say, that's the step I want to change. And you go change the parameter here, and I change this. You see the value here will change. So it's just going to be on that step. This is the change I did. So you can do really quickly, either in real-time record or very precise way. You can change it also in a very precise way. Now, what's interesting also about the sequencer is you have the option of having these probability. So you can say that trigger will play, I don't know, 25% of the time, just 25% of the time. Or you can say it will play every four times that the pattern is played. So you can really, there's different things of trigger condition or probability combined, it gives you a very complex pattern, even if it's just a 16-step sequence. With all these variable being active, you can hear something only on the fourth time that the sequence is played, and if it's 50% of the time, then only 50%. So it's really complex, very alive with a 16-step. Now you can also have up to 64 steps in here. Very evolving patterns simply with all these controls that you have in here. So that's really cool. Before buying, what you should think about to be sure it's the right thing for you. It's versatile. You can customize your own synth sound. What's interesting is for an analog drum, having 4 real analog drum, to be able to save a kit, that's something that a lot of analog affordable drums do not have. Like the Drum Brute, you cannot save a kit. So this, even if you use just the 4 analog sounds and you save your kit by itself, it's something that other affordable drums do not do. So this is interesting. And you have a kit memory and a program memory, and they work separately and they work together, meaning you can save all your different kits just to have different flavors of the sounds. But then when you save your program, there's one setting in there in global settings where you can say, when I save a program, I want to save the kit with it. So if you change anything in the kit, it will also save the kit. Now, remember that the program points to the kit. So if my program, I don't know, F1 sends to the kit F1, when I save the program, it saves also the kit, because by default, that's how it is. But if I want, I can have this separate. That means if I change anything in the kit and I save the program, it will not save the kit. If I go away and load back the kit, it goes back to the memory one, not the one that was live in the machine. So I have to save the kit and I have to save the program separately. Now, you say, well, why? The thing is that if I save the program and saves the kit with it, if I use the same kit, F1, in another program, then you also change the sound of that other program. So that's how you still have to remember that these are two different things. The program basically is the step, the sequence, how everything changes, and the kit is the sounds or the sound that you're playing. And these also, it's a cool way to have new ideas. You just press a program, let it play, and switch kits to get the new sounds playing the same thing. So you can really be creative just by, after all the automation you created, you can find different things that pop ups right there. So you just need to, get your head around that. Just remember that the program points to a kit that is not part of the program, that is saved in parallel. And if you change it, it will affect everybody else that uses that. So just keep that in mind. The build is really nice. It's metal at the front, plastic at the back, wooden panel on the side. It looks good. You've got real-time control over the volumes, and they're saved with the kit. So the volume you change, it saves with it. Connectivity is really nice. It connects to a lot of stuff. So for that, and the fact you can plug this right into it, that's kind of blurred the notion of, is it a drum or a groove box? It wants to be a groove box, but it doesn't have the feature. You need to bring your keyboard. So it shows you that it's not one. You need to add the keyboard to be that. Now on the low part is, if you really are a sample user, that's not for you. There's not enough RAM memory for that. And the way to load your sample, you need to turn off the device, put it in storage mode, USB storage mode, see it appears on your computer, name it correctly, send it there, load it back in. So it's not like just put the cards, load the card and run with it. It's not a sampler. It plays samples, but it's limited in the control you have there. So if you want to drum, that's cool. But if you want to play with samples, it might not be the right thing for you. If you want to see this as a groove box, you can push it to be that, but it's not that by default. It's a drum with a bass. That's kind of how you should see it. Menu diving, not too much, so it's not so bad. If you want to play live on it, if you're a pad user, if you want to play live, these buttons are not really meant to do that. It will work, but it's not that. So that's why you should have a controller and in real-time play there. So it's kind of a different approach. So if you want to real-time play new drums live, it's not really the box for that. It's a small one. You have a nice combination of analog, real analog, and samples. You can put your own samples in them. You can have advanced synthesizers also with the Nano and other log SDK synth. I find it really interesting, but I know it's not for everybody. So I hope this is actually helping you understand what could be done with it and why would you be interested in this one. So just, I mean, if you have any question on stuff that you want to hear about this or explained, write them in the comments. If you have stuff you want me to demo, I'm preparing a user guide that I go deeper into advanced tips on how to really use it correctly or get the most out of it, basically. So put them below also, and I'll see what I can do with that, about that. That's it. Stay safe, make my music, and see you soon. Cheers.